Hey, what a shock. I'm not dead. What's up, gamers? It's me, low quality content, with the low quality intro. It's been a minute since I've recorded, not gonna lie. A lot of things have happened. The very short version is I got the plague, I got married, and I've been looking for a house. Maybe I'll go into more detail later on something that's not this, because this is probably going to be a long video as it is. So let's just get into it. So, ground rules, same as every other month. Prioritize free units. Very important. This is my opinion. If you disagree, I would love to hear why, but just remember, this is how I view the game. This is my opinion on things. All that. The blue tiers, the very good tiers, are ordered as well from left to right. And I try not to rank the Trader Lodge pairs. And I mean, I don't, because, you know, it's a dating sim. Pick the character you like. Starting with the bug type. We have not had any new units in the past 3 months. So I'll just pick out a good free-to-play team and maybe a good pay-to-play team. For free-to-play, you got Eusine, you got Aaron, maybe Viola, maybe Dawn Wormadam. And then for pay-to-play, you got your Bug Zone guy, you got 2 really good supports, and then you have 3 very good damage dealers. So Butler, Ingo, either of these supports, any of those damage dealers, and you're pretty good to go. On to the dark type. We do have a new unit. It is Costume Zinnia with Nickit. And the best way I can describe her is a better version of Base Grimly. Now, Base Grimly was goated for that one event at the beginning of the game. If you were there for the very, very, very first Giovanni and Mewtwo event, you know how good Grimsley is. But a lot's changed since then. So, I don't think she was the worst unit to come out of the costume event, the detective event. But I do think there are better ones. I think she's a solid 3 from that event. Other than that, like I said, no real changes. Good free-to-play team. Personally, I would say Piers, Sydney or Nanu aren't too bad for a third option, but yeah, Piers, Master Royale, and Incineroar, any of those 2. You could do Master Royale or Karen and Houndoom. Pay-to-win team, I mean, the one I use are those 3 right there, so it's a pretty good team. It's just a recommendation, you know, for pay-to-play. Really, only take these recommendations to heart for the free-to-play. For pay-to-play, just use what you have. And even then, if you really like Karen and Umbreon, you can make her work. So again, my opinion. Just recommendations. On to the Dragon type, nothing new. So just a good free-to-play team recommendation. You got those 2 for sure. I guess Licia and Altaria are pretty good. But I mean, your zone setters right here. Signasuit. Serena's really good. Latios, from what I've heard, is a good support. A lot of decent options. Moving on to the electric type. New unit here in electric. It is Signasuit How or Festival How with Tapu Koko. Not the worst Tapu to come into the game, but definitely the one I was most disappointed in. I think one of his best uses is pairing him with Red and Pikachu, because you can get a very, very long electric terrain, because Red has terrain extension for electric terrain, and so does Signasuit How. So they're very good for stuff like Battle Villa, but in terms of standalone I think Hao is better suited as an electric terrain setter or a fairy terrain setter because he can set up Fairy Wish. But other than that, no complaints. I'm probably just going to only do the recommendations for types that didn't get a new unit. But Hao's not terrible, right? If you got him, I think you'll find he has uses, but I don't think he is the most useful or the best of the festival units. Moving on to the fairy type, we have what I will say is the worst of the festival units. I don't know if it's close. I do not feel the same level of disappointment with Signasuit Mina as I do with Signasuit Hao, mostly because kind of just looking at it, Mina looked like she was going to be the worst of the three because she sets up Rain and Fairy Zone. And I guess it kind of shows which one of the units were good because they all set up two different things. And the ones... Sorry, one of them sets up one thing, the other three set up two things. And the best one that sets up two, which we'll get to, those two things kind of went together. So Rain and Fairy Zone don't really go together, as well as Electric Terrain and Fairy Zone don't really go together. So... But even then, she's still a very good unit, and I want to mention that all of the festival units, in my opinion, were very good. So when I'm saying she's the worst of the four, that's still not a bad thing, because all four are in very good. Moving on to the fighting type, no real units, no new anything. So... good team, in my opinion, for free to play. You have your main support, your backup, and then you have two very good damage dealers right here for free to play. I'm not gonna really keep covering pay to play because you got a lot more options. Fire types. We didn't have any new additions this go around, so a good free to play fire type team with your Signasuit selector, so everybody in the game has the opportunity to select one of the three Kanto Signasuit units for free. Signasuit Leaf and Venusaur, Signasuit Blue and Blastoise, Signasuit Red and Charizard. Personally, I think two of those are worth it. Those would be Red and Blue. So if you picked Red, a good team for Red would be Blaine, because there's your Sunsetter. Red is your damage dealer. And then you could go player character and Torchic is pretty good. If you wanted a tech option... Oh, sorry. Kawaii and Marowak. Or if you got the tickets for it, Evelyn and Entei. And of course, now my dog decides now is the time to eat. She only wants to eat when I'm doing something. It makes her feel involved. And then, if you don't have Red, your best damage dealer would be someone like Base Silver and Ho-Oh. Again, pair with Blaine, Sunsetter, pair with either of these two supports. You're pretty good. Decent third option. Maybe Ethan if you can manage to keep him undamaged. That's really kind of the biggest downside of Ethan is if he is even 1 HP lower than full health, he can't operate at full potential. And then another decent alternative would be someone like Serena. Onto the flying type, nothing new. So a good free-to-play team. Definitely Swana's real good. Base Swana, definitely Blue and Pidgeot, real good. And then for a third option, you could go Falconer, at least there to take hits. Tech option with Durock and Staraptor. Not bad. Onto the Ghost type, again, nothing new. So free-to-play recommendation, you have your main support in Phoebe. You got a backup support in Morty and Mismagius. Really good. IMO, underrated for a Battle Point ticket unit. Another very underrated one actually is Lieutenant Surgeon Raichu, who I actually think is probably one of the best of the Battle Point ticket units, but again, my opinion. And then for a damage dealer, you can do Alistair, you could do Fantina, you could try rocking with Mimikyu and Acerola. Oh, sorry. She is not free. Never mind. You could do Alistair, you could do Fantina. Onto the grass. We got 2 new grass units in Acerola and Adaman. Starting with the Acerola since she came out first. She's either 1 or 2 for the festival units, and honestly, you can make an argument either way. She sets up 2 zones, but both of them work together. She sets up sun, and she sets up grass terrain. She is now the 3rd unit who could set up grass terrain, along with Holiday Whitney and Signasuit Lyra. And she sets up sun, so she works well with any of your damage dealers. Who else is a damage dealer up there? Adaman too. But she works with any and all of your damage dealer pairs. There's not one that would appreciate her. As opposed to someone like... I mean, even Lyra can be used by everybody, but someone like Signasuit Erica would love to have the extra sun setups. So, I think Acerola, one of the best 2 for the Alolan Festival pairs. And then on to Adaman. My biggest complaint with him is his buddy move being on a limit. But other than that, I think he's going to be a damage dealing machine. I think he's going to be better than someone like Victor and Rillaboom. If you don't know, he has a passive that makes all of his moves crits, and he can just crit or everything. I believe he has, it's either Buddy Move Razor Leaf or Buddy Loot, or Buddy Move Leaf Blade, and then the other one is his normal move. But he can hit everything for crit, so I think he's going to be really good. On to the ground type. 1 new unit. That was Costume Lyra in her rocket outfit. And she's very good, almost simply due to the fact that there are very little ground supports. Like these 2 ladies right here, Courtney and Bertha, are kind of like pseudo supports, but they're tech units. I think Hapu is miscast as a striker, but her kit is very defense oriented. And then in terms of pure supports, you really only have, what's her name, Naya and Landorus, this premium Ingo and Excadrill, who's really good, I will admit, and then Cynthia and Gastrodon down here. So she's got to get some credit for being a ground type support, but again, premium. I wish we would get a better support other than Naya and Cynthia and Gastrodon for this type, because it needs it. It needs a support. Onto the ice type, we have 2 new units. That is Signasuit Sneasel, or Silver and Sneasel, and Irida and Glaceon. Now, as of this recording, Silver and Sneasel aren't out yet. They'll probably be out soon. But I think they're fine. I think they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. You know, I don't have anything for them. I think they're going to be better damage dealers than definitely like Holiday Nessa, anything below. Irida is the more interesting one. She sets up both Ice Zone and Hail. So already she's the best ice weather and zone setter, right? Which kind of puts her definitely above Nessa, who was previously the best. Both Candaces also set up Hail. And I believe this Steven sets up Hail too. So already she's got plenty of use, and even if her attacks aren't the greatest thing in the world, which they're not, the fact that she sets up Hail and protects all allied units from hail damage and sets up Ice Zone, she's probably the best non-damage dealing ice type. All right, I'd put her above Melanie, and then these three boys right here, kind of in the damage dealing circle. And even then, you can make an argument about her being better than a Getsis or a Hala. I don't think she's better than Signature, and that N is bonkers. On to the normal type. One new unit, and in my opinion, the best unit from the detective event, and that is Detective Steven with Shiny Stoutland. Let me start by saying he has limitations, but he has one of N's passive, or one of Red Lax's passives, which is giving super effective next to a teammate. He can also take physical attack, the physical attack buff, up 3 stages twice on an ally. So you could have +6, potentially, physical attack up next on a number of units. And there's so many ones that could benefit from that. Just looking at this screen, Hugh and Buffland, going back. In and Black Kyurem, Hala, and Crabominable, Groudon and Maxie. Sceptile can't really make use of it, but Erica can. Victor, and if we want to go further down, any of the Deances can take advantage of it. There's a lot of units that can take advantage of that, is my point. So definitely a good, very good support. Do I think he's better than Red Lax? No, simply due to the fact that Red Lax can work with any unit, where Detective Steven, not being a support, for one thing, he's a tech unit, but also doesn't really help out special units that much. So like even going down here to Poison, right? Your best damage dealers being Iris. I guess he would work with Emma, but like Psychic type doesn't work with Lucamine, doesn't really work with this Steven, doesn't really work with Mewtwo, doesn't work with Lana, doesn't work with Blue because he uses Hyper Beam. You know, doesn't work with any of the water types, most of the fire types. So he's definitely very good, but not the undisputed best, in my opinion. I still think the difference between him and Red, and maybe next month I'll bring Red down to the top of very good but premium, but I still think Red is the best support, if not the second best. You know, top 2, if not 1, in the game. On to the Poison type. No new units in the game, so free-to-play recommendation. You have a support here in Janine and Crobat. Damage dealers, you can roll with either Plumeria and Salazzle, Looker and Krogunk, even really Lucy and Seviper. I used her for a long time because I did not like Plumeria. I thought she was a little weak, but I do kind of have to recognize that just because I think that she's weak, she's still probably better, or at least on par. And then in terms of a third, you could do something like Koga and Crobat, if you have Marnie. But, yep. On to the Psychic type. The new unit is Lana and Tapu Lele. And much like the TCG, Tapu Lele is really good. So, she only makes one zone, if I remember correctly, and that is Psychic Zone. But she can also make more Psychic Zones, more Psychic Terrains, sorry. So, that's really good, because your other Psychic Terrain setter is Bianca. who is not bad, but all she's really there for is to set up. Lana can also dish out damage. So, I think she's the best of the 4 from the festival. I think she's very good. I don't think she's a better damage dealer than, or even a better premium, very good unit than Signasuit Lusamine or Signasuit Steven. But still, very, very good. Rock types, no new units, so a good free-to-play team is actually this group right here. You have Leer set up with this Lycanroc, you got damage with this Lycanroc, and Roxanne, I think, is a very underrated support. On to the Steel type, one new unit. I have her at very good, but I do think she's the worst of the detective units. She's alright. She's alright. That's all I really got to say about that. She's alright. And for the final type, we're talking about the water type. We have one big new unit, and that is Eusine and Shiny Suicune. I think this has the potential to be my biggest reach of the group. So he kind of came out in this update with Irida, Adamant, and Signasuit Silver. I think he's better than Silver. I don't know how to compare him to Irida or Adamant, but I do have him as the second best premium, very good unit. I think his ability, his buddy move never runs out. So basically, you hit 2 Whirlpools, you're hitting high-powered surfs the whole time. Does he cost a lot of energy? Yes, he guzzles that energy bar, but there's ways to mitigate that. You can get a decent range supports. Anybody with move gauge acceleration, anybody with move gauge refill. Going back, an underrated one, just the one I can think of off the top of my head, is this base Rosa that has special attack up, that has move gauge refill. You know, really any unit with move gauge refill or move gauge acceleration will help mitigate the high energy cost of Eusine, and I think once you mitigate that, he's good to go. He's got the Lily buff, which is max out special attack, max out crit. I believe he gives all units condition nullification on that as well. So he does need a little bit more of a team around him than Archie does. But, I mean, you pair him with Signasuit Blue, who has move gauge acceleration. You're kind of good to go. You can even pair him with Hilbert. You won't get the benefit of the attack all that Hilbert does, but he does provide a speed buff. So, definitely a good unit. Maybe my biggest reach out of all of them, but I think he has the potential to be one of the best water units that we have gotten. And that's going to do it for this. I'm currently clocking in at under 30 minutes, which I am shocked by, to be honest with you. So after this video, I'm going to try to get my Elgato going, and I might actually stream some Stick of Truth. That's kind of the game I've decided I want to be the first one I stream. If you don't remember, I did mention that I want to kind of record me playing some of these games just for having a recording of me playing them, you know, so it is what it is. I hope you enjoyed this video. I apologize for taking a couple months off. Or I really shouldn't say taking a couple months off, because this is not a job. Just sorry for not posting. You know, I got the plague. I got married. I've been trying to find a house. I lost my passion, you know, like, I did not want to record anything. I've been burnt out off life for a minute. But I'm very happy with where I am now, and it's not the end of my road. So I hope to see you all next time. Until then, drive safe, everyone. Take care.